How did I learn about plants and the uses of them mundane and magically within my practice? Now, this is a question I received in one of my lives recently, so I thought I would make a video on it because it could help someone else. Because I come from a familial practice, I originally was taught by my family and then mentors on what they knew, passed down to me. I then went out and I researched myself, papers, books, courses, videos, and so forth. I then eventually started attending evening courses that were run at the local community centre, either by hobbyists or botanists themselves. These courses weren't ones that you would come out with a certificate at the end. They were hobbyist courses, even if they were run by professionals. So I've done many of these over time, ranging from learning about plants in general to making tinctures and oils and creams and so forth. All the good stuff. For me, these evening courses were fantastic because I learn by physical. I find it hard to read, even though I've got all these books, even though I've studied and read them, I still find it easier to physically learn. So these courses were fantastic. Now, they cost me anywhere between £25 to £60, depending on the type of course and how long it was run for and who run it. But if you do have them local to you, they're worth getting involved in. Don't be afraid to go out and purchase academic books or books that are written by professional botanists and herbalists, because this is going to be your main bulk of information that you're going to be using in your practice when it comes to making tinctures and oils and salves and so forth, because a lot of your magical aspects of a plant do lean a lot towards the mundane too. First off, I'm always going to recommend academic-based books. Whether or not they are just for general sale or they're used in university, they are very informative. Now, this one is from 1924, used at the University of Birmingham, and it is the study of plants and an introduction into botany. It is very informative. There is a lot of information in here, but it is worth having in your collection and it is worth a read. Next up, I'm going to recommend this book by James Green, The Herbal Medicine Maker's Handbook. This is very informative, especially if you want to learn about making tinctures and oils and salves and home medicine, especially from your back garden. This is a very in-depth and informative book, well worth getting. Next up, I'm going to suggest books that are written for your locality, what country you live in, the area you live in, because these books are going to be tailored to the ecosystem and the plant life and the fauna that is around you. So first off, one of my suggestions is Edible and Medicinal Wild Plants of Britain and Ireland, and then Ireland's Hidden Medicine. These are two fantastic books for the UK and Ireland. Now they go into plant lore, what the uses of these plants and so forth were back in the day and what they can still be used for today, what can be eaten for nourishment and what can be used to help you. So now we've done the mundane route, I'm going to go into the spiritual and the witchy route. So these two books are books that I highly recommend, and only because of the information that they are packed with. They tell you about the shadow life of plants, the plant lore, the uses of them. They give you recipes on all types of levels. So first off, we've got the Poison Path Herbal, then we've got Botanical Curses and Poisons. The next witchy book I'm going to highly recommend is Plant Witchery by Juliet Diaz. Now, Juliet gives you 200 different plants that they use in their own practice. This is, again, jam-packed full of information. Not only do you get to read about plants, but there are recipes that are personal to Juliet in this book too. Would highly recommend this one. So the next book I'm going to recommend is The Witch's Book of Simples. But what simples, I hear you ask? Now, simples is the use of a singular herb and its importance of resources to those back in the day that helped heal. People like the cunning folk and healers, even apothecaries, because one simple herb could be used to aid and heal many ailments. This is an old traditional way, and it's used in a lot of traditional witchcraft across the British Isles, Island in Europe, as well as folk magic. So there's a lot of information on a historical level and personal level in here, and recipes, so it's worth adding to your collection. Remember, on the most part, you can work out the uses of a plant in your practice from its mundane uses and its medicinal uses. And this is why it's important to study the mundane roots of plants as well as the spiritual, because there are so many different opinions out there on what spiritually a plant can do, but we also forget to look at the traditional uses of them too.